Thus, conscience doth make cowards of us all, and thus the native hue of resolution is sicklied o'er the pale cast of thought, and enterprises of great pith and moment with disregard their currents turn awry and lose the name of action. Oh, hello, I didn't see you there. I was just reading some Shakespeare. Because today, ooh, that didn't land great, we are going to be talking about the craft of acting for singers, and as such, I'm going to take this scarf, which obviously is an homage to the great Steven Tyler. I'm going to put it around my neck as an homage to the craft of acting. We know actors love scarves. We don't know why actors love scarves. I was never a big scarf-wearing actor. I probably would be a more successful actor if I fully embraced the scarf-like destiny of acting, but I didn't want to do that so much. But just for this video, to prove a point, I'm going to wear this scarf because actors love scarves. Now, I've long said that singing is an acting job, okay? And that's kind of an easy thing to say, right? I don't think too many people would disagree with me. You know, you've got some people who are really good at singing, really bad at acting. You got a lot of singers who, you know, might not have the best instruments or be super well trained, but they're just captivating, right? And then you may have a lot of probably loads of like just really good singers who don't get a lot of traction because they're just kind of boring to watch, or they just don't have a lot of stuff going on that like keeps the audience engaged once they get over the shock of like, wow, those are some very pretty sounds coming out of that person, you know. But in order to really keep an audience engaged, a lot more goes into it, and so we're going to get into some of that today. Singing as an acting job. There's a lot of different frameworks for acting. There's a lot of cliches out there about like method acting, right? That if you had to, you know, walk up to a normal person and do like a Family Feud thing of like, what is the acting? Somebody probably in that first five is going to be like method acting, right? Probably number one, right? I don't even know what number two would be. I mean, of course, I studied acting, so it's like, well, that breaks down from Stanislavski to Lee Strasberg to Stella Adler, who's all about the action, to Sanford Meisner, who was like about the repetition to, you know, get yourself into the headspace. And then that's kind of like, you know, the American school, this is all what we learned, that we got from Russia of like working from the inside out, right? Whereas the British schools, they would teach us to work from the outside in. Like first, you want to get the perfect pair of boots, because if you're just, you know, loafing about in your, you know, New Balance sneakers and you're trying to, you know, psych yourself into understanding the, you know, the Constable and Fiddler on the Roof or whatever, like you're kind of wasting your time. And I kind of agree with those people, and if you must know, I'm a little bit more partial to the British side of things. But so I'm going to give you a framework that I think is kind of right down the middle of like being outside in and also inside out at the same time. And it's a very simple framework, and I'm actually going to put a slight twist on it. The guy who created this, as far as I know, is I believe his name is Robert Cohen. How dare you look at notes? Yes, Robert Cohen. He wrote a book called Acting 1, which is not the most well-known acting book, but I think it's really straightforward and really kind of novice-friendly, and it doesn't, you know, lug you down with a lot of kind of esoteric concepts. It doesn't get you too lost in like sense memory and emotional recall, which is, you know, what most people think of as being like Stanislavski stuff, is it's like, smell your grandmother's blouse. You know, like, remember your doggy puppy. And listen, whatever works for you is great. But I'm assuming that you're here because you feel like there's somewhere to grow in terms of your singing performance stuff. So here's the framework without further ado. It's called Getting the Character's Goat, although I prefer Getting the Character's Vote. And I spell it V-O-A-T. Okay, he teaches VOTE, and let's just start running it. So what is the V? The V is victory. Victory, victory, victory. What is victory? That's what the person wants. That's what the singer, that's what you as the character that you're embodying, whether it's you or some kind of aspect of your unconscious, or, you know, you're a tribute band, so you're that famous person. But what do they want in that moment singing that song? And for the whole song, what are they trying to get? What do they want? I like victory as opposed to goal, because victory is kind of this whole body thing that you can just jump into, right? Whereas goal is a little bit, it's a little bit down the field, and there's a lot of stress and a lot of like, oh, I twisted my toe at the end. I like victory. It's right here. It's right now. It's like, what do you want, right? So then we've got O, which stands for two things. It could be obstacle, what's in the way, or it could be other. And usually it's kind of some combination of the two, right? So let's say it's, you know, some kind of a Marvin Gaye song. It's like, you know, if the person was ready to get it on, you wouldn't be singing "Let's Get It On," right? So they might be into you in the kind of the world of the song, right? But they're not quite there yet. So hopefully you singing this song is going to convince them to, in fact, get it on, right? So that's where the other comes into place. And that's in some way often kind of an obstacle too, is it's like, well, they're not comfortable and ready and quite in the mood the way you are, right? So the other and the obstacle is often kind of intermeshed. I've got another twist on the obstacle thing, but we'll put that at the end. Next up is, because we're spelling it VOAT, right? Action. Action. What's my action, right? Different from what's my motivation. That's more like what's my victory, right? What's my victory? What's my motivation? The action is like, what do you do in order to get that? Well, actors, you know, they'll be digging deep into subtext. So what's my subtext? What's the action? What am I really doing in the scene? No. But what am I actually doing? You know, this is a whole game. We as singers, we don't have to play that game. You know what we do? We go through the song, because the song is an expression of the deep unconscious more often than not, right? Sometimes there's a song that's, you know, there's a level of sarcasm over it, but just bear with me for a second. All you have to do is look through that singing script and you just pinpoint the verbs. You just underline every single verb, and those are your actions. Done. Every single verb in that song is your action. You'll notice most singers will start emphasizing the nouns. Don't do this. You want to emphasize the verbs. The verbs are what takes this from, like, you know, notes on that you came up with on the toilet 6 months ago, and words that you scribbled out between shifts or whatever, and like brings everything right here, right now, is those verbs. So hang on to them, right? So that's the action, and then, because we're going VOAT, right? T is tactics, and that's very simple. That is adverbs, adjectives. How do you do that? Like get in my car, smoothly, confidently, aggressively, if you're threatening somebody, coyly. How are you doing that? I remember working in the AC/DC tribute band, and somebody kind of, we were talking about Bon Scott, the character of Bon Scott, right? And my bass player said something amazing. He goes, he's snarling, but he's also sniveling. We laugh about that today, but like, you gotta be more sniveling. Big boss, sniveling, right? All that kind of stuff. How you do stuff is the tactics. Now, the other way that Robert Cohen wrote out, just so you know, is victory, other, action, or tactics, which he uses for action, and expectation, right? Now, expectation, I think, kind of rolls into the initial victory. What is it? Now, not necessarily. I mean, let's look at I'll Be Watching You by Sting, right? The character's not expecting to get the girl, right? But I guess that's not really necessarily his victory either. Like, he just wants to be a creep and stare. So I don't know. I think it's important to distinguish between what the actions are, and you basically just go through the script and underline all of your actions, and then the way in which you go about, this is more the character is like how, right? So then you've got the what, you got the who, and you got the how, and the why is you could argue that why is like another. Once you figure out the victory of the song, then you got to get into the why. Yeah, that'd be good. So, I'm thinking of the song Highway Star. There's so many songs about cars, right? So how do you elevate a song about a car to being about more than that? And I think all the great car songs, they do that. So let's look at Highway Star, right? Nobody gonna take my down, I'm gonna race it to the ground. Who's he singing to? He's singing to like a rival gang, right? Or even like, it's more dismissive of that. It's like somebody who like didn't know. It's just like, well, I'm passing on your left. And it's like, what? Who the hell are you? And it's like, you don't know, bro. Whoa! And then, so then just nobody gonna take my God. I'm gonna race it to the, so you hit those verbs, right? And then how do you do that? Confidently, aggressively, smoothly. That's where the kind of the characterization comes out of. And then the expectation, it's gotta be on my way to steal your girl, right? For that one, maybe for another song, the expectations aren't so bullish. Maybe I don't know, how confidently is the guy that the black hole sun is going to come and wash away the rain? I don't know. Seems like kind of a desperate plea that's not in the cards. I don't know. This is all stuff that you can play around with, but this is taking you just below making sounds and saying words into something much more subtle and memorable and actionable. So, sometimes when you've got a show and you really feel it and you're just raring to go and everything's great, sometimes you're not really in the mood and you kind of wish it got rained out, but it didn't. It happens. So what are these things that you can kind of anchor yourself in that will bring the song to life for you at kind of a molecular level? And so this is the framework that's going to really help you kind of take all this stuff and move it along. I promised you one way that this directly relates to voice technique and why you guys often come here. And here it goes. The rasp and distortion that we are obsessed with, that we love to work on, all that stuff that we love. Where does it fit into this? It's in the obstacle. Okay? Do a quick demo, right? Here, I'm going to do this two different ways, right? In my life, there's been heartache and pain. This lonely life. Right? In my life, there's been heartache and pain. I want to know what love is. I want you to show me. So what I was trying to do to show the difference is the first one is I want to get this rasp and distortion right so that it all sounds good. And of course you have to do that, especially as you're learning. The second one was the rasp and the distortion is in the way of me really expressing myself. I really want to express myself without it, but it's in the way. It's in the way of me being real with you. It's in the way of me being real with you. I just want to sing it pure, but all this stuff is in the way. The second one is what's going to be like, wow, that guy's got such an awesome voice. The first one is like, I see what he's going for, But when you can really get it to the point that those vocal, false folds, the distortion-y stuff is like what's in the way of you expressing purely exactly who you are and what you want to be. That's the place you want to live, and that's the place that really moves people. All right, that's going to be it for us today. Thank you for watching VoiceHead. Stick around. There's plenty more content coming up, and of course, you can reach out to me, ask me anything related to singing, being a front man, front person, rasp, vocal distortion done safely, and yeah, have a great time, man. Then keep making music.